indeed, yes indeed, yes indeed, yes indeed. Let me just do a little music background there. Let me put in a little music background just to entice and enhance the presentation. Yes, yes, yes. Let me see what I should put here. Tonight, people, of course, we will be engaged in a podcast, just about a half an hour, just to make sure that those persons who are excited. No calls tonight, no calls tonight. I'm sorry about that. But of course, that happens from time to time. And next week, I'll do podcast tonight and next week. Tonight I'll do podcast. Tonight I'll do podcast. Testing. Testing. Yes, indeed.
Some people in the world today don't realize that worries don't pay. Plenty people in the world today don't realize that worries don't pay. Resting the worries upon your shoulder, only bringing you older and older. These wicked things them people just do. They don't realize you have worries too. Tell them to never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I said to tell them never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad. Never ever worry. What I'm saying is true.
Well, good night, all and sundry. Of course, in Trinidad and elsewhere. I'll be only for half an hour tonight. I just want to share with you, and in the form of a podcast, so there'll be no telephone calls, and I just want to give you some programming information. Notice, of course, I have an automatic or a mobile facility where I'll be going to the blackboard and chalkboard and whiteboard. We have a whiteboard in the studio in order to, of course, deliver information to the audience and to the student. And even, of course, you, as we try to graphically illustrate some of the things that we would be doing. But as far as the podcast is concerned, a podcast usually focusing on a specific subject. So let me focus on the subject, which is, of course, the THA elections. I want to say it was predicted here and on the ground report, again, by one person. I went as far as to suggest and to in a sort of lampoon way, lampoon meaning, of course, making a joke of it, making a caricature of it, that if there was 17 seats in Tobago, the TPP would have won them. And people laughed. But it was intended, of course, for that. But the fact is that there was 15 and they got all 15 seats. What does that say for the PNM? Well, I want to say it marks the death knell. It marks the terminus or the termination of the PNM in finality in Tobago and in Trinidad and Tobago. The process of relegating that party into the dustbin of political history is now inevitable or is in full stride. Any analysts or any of the practitioners of political assessment, whether you are a pollster or you are a psophologist, let me repeat, a psophologist, those who studies, of course, statistics in relation to elections, etc., and of course can give you a historical account of what I consider the evolution of politics in any community or in any, should I say, jurisdiction. And worth their salt will be, of course, able to understand what I am saying and therefore draw the inescapable conclusion. You see, it is not sufficient to take traditional media, or some say legacy media, for granted because they have been polarized. And the polarization, or the gravitation to the gravitational polar pull that, or magnetic pull that they have espoused and have practiced over the years, social media and other similar technological information savvy developments have overtaken them. And I say so specifically because the Newsday is on the brink of not just collapse, it is on the brink of extinction, just as the PNM. Why? Because they have not been able sufficiently and with the highest degree of alacrity and expeditiously to adapt and adjust. So they have to become what? Extinct. That is the reality. But let me show you, of course, as I said, the device. I have this in my hand. This will be strapped somewhere. You know, there's a hook, so it will go on my waist. And then, of course, I have the microphone right here on my lapel, or my collar here at the top of my shirt, or the neck, the commencement of the neck part of my shirt. And that will be there, and I could be as mobile as possible. I could stand up, I could sit down, I could move around, rather than having this stationary mic where I have to be always in its path in order to get the information to you. Yes, a bit of course, improvement in the technology, but the mobility that this device will now provide, where I can be in constant, or in the constant hearing, or my mic is in immediate reach, in spite of my mobility, or my kinetic move, you know, kinetic energy, movement energy, kinetic move. Yeah, or some people like to use it, the biologists and the person engaged, of course, in human anatomy, normally call it, of course, the bipedal gait of the human being. Bipedal, meaning that they walk upright. Bipedal gait, yes. There are two legs, and the gait meaning, of course, movement. Bipedal gait. But let me get back to the question of the repercussions for the PNM as a consequence of the avalanche, the tsunami, the political, electoral tsunami that descended on them. And I had a discussion only yesterday on the ground report with, of course, the current chairman of TTT, Michael Kerr, and a colleague of ours. We don't see him as former, we see him as current, we see him as contemporary, we see him as existential. I want to tell you that I did say about Ansel Dennis's chances that might have been the only one to have a cause for concern in that election. But it turned out that he lost the elections on the last occasion in 2021 by four votes. Well, he lost it this time by 450, like he loved 4. So he got 400 licks. And of course, the only representative of the PNM who was an incumbent or an incumbent before the elections on Monday, he got licks by 200, I believe, and 20 votes. So It was a comprehensive victory, or put another way, let me rub some salt in that wound of the PNM. It was a comprehensive defeat for the PNM. Let me repeat, a comprehensive and unadulterated defeat for the PNM. And we have to also analyze the platform that they mounted in terms of their rhetoric, in terms of their propaganda, in terms of their argument, in terms of their innuendos and deception, attempting to, of course, hoodwink the electorate of Tobago into, of course, giving them an unmeritorious, but it would have been unprecedented victory in the Tobago House of Assembly elections on the 12th, last Monday, just passed. It's very important that you understand that. And we saw, you see, it's important to understand because in Trinidad, they seem to have been successful too often and insulting people's intelligence, whether you are academically inclined or you believe that you are not part of the, what I can say, the pedantic group of the society, meaning that you're not well schooled. What no one can take from you is common sense. Common sense. And in particular, I cannot help, and it will be remiss of me in this 30 minutes of this podcast to tell the people of East Port of Spain, Laventille, Beetham, Sealats, Movat, Malik, Belmont, Chumakak, St. Babs, that this engagement is about winner take all. In a real sense, winner take all. And whether that all is circumscribed in relation to others who would have also be winners, the fact is that you are at the dinner table because you were invited consequential of an electoral process, which means that you will find yourself in the parliament of 41 seats and therefore 41 representatives in the parliament. Unfortunately, the recalcitrants, and like if stick break in the people and the electorate thereof of East Port of Spain, Laventille, Beetham, Sealats, and all of the other sub-communities that I referred to earlier, and always getting the dirty end of the stick. Always. What do I mean by always? Because the PNM and the fragment that it has now found itself in, or the fragmentation that it has found itself in, will continue to try to hold on to a dribble, will try to hold on to a straw. I didn't plan, of course, to have any phone call tonight, but I have to take this one. Let me just take this one. Let me just, why I'm not getting it? Yes, let me see if I can get this one. Yes, indeed. Let me see. Good night. Good. The volume too low? All right, okay, thanks. Thank you very much, yes. All right, volume too low, not hearing properly. All right, let me just, somebody else calling as well. Let me just make sure I get the volume up on this. Let me see, bam. Let me see. All right, yes, indeed. A pleasant good night. I tried to give half an hour here. Go ahead, Martin. Go ahead. I thought I would be able to camouflage and to get away in half an hour's time, but I see you catch me, so go ahead. I can't deny you. Yeah.
That 60
Yes.
is a reflection of what Trinidad and Tobago thinks about the PNM and their survival. After 2 generations of the PNM, 2025,
Yes.
two generations. So those who have said PNM should have died, you know what has happened? They have gone to the great beyond.
And therefore, all of them as well. Therefore, all of them.
Right.
Yes.
The younger, brighter ones who understood where we should have been 10 years ago. Some people call them the Gen Z. I will say the ones who took education as it's meant to be. Understand why we have to pivot away from the PNM. And you could see it over the last 20, 25 years, the nation, after the first generation, started to see how the PNM has hoodwinked us.
Yes.
And people now know 2 and 2 is 4. And if they didn't know that, they Google it because Auntie Kamala gave them laptop. And I have suggested it today. The gesture by our Prime Minister KTV to go to Tobago to hand out those laptops is a brilliant, brilliant move. People have not understood how critical that was to swing young minds who would have been fluent to their parents. Mommy, Auntie Kamala gave us a laptop. What Auntie Kamala have for us again? We have to continue with the vision of this government, unity and coalition. No, I think the PNM trying to hoodwink us again. Their analysis, they have said it's a low voter turnout there.
Yes.
And trying to justify the 15-0. But you know this is statistics is right, but statistics is statistics also if you're looking for what you want.
Yes.
No. They say it's the step 0.69, right?
Yeah.
They say that is a low turnout. Probably got, I think, 16 250 votes, which is about 60% of the low turnout.
Yes.
If we extrapolate that to a high turnout, say 60% of the vote, what party bought, he would have still be stable based on the popularity vote. He's the PNM. Do the math, you will see. So the what is trying to tell us, the old PNM people have abandoned them because they continue to lie, taxing, lying, cheating, former government. And people understand that now. And it's similar to April 2028. The UNC got more votes. And if the daughter of a former prime minister had sense and she has humbled herself, we would have gotten a 75% majority vote in parliament to change the constitution. For example, if the PNM had gone for constitutional um, a proportional representation, they would have had 40% of the seats in the Tobago House of Assembly, but they want to stick to first past the post. So, with their own constitution, people have understood what the constitution is. They have better understanding of it, and the PNM is basically
been beaten by the own construct. Now, let me get back to Penny Senseless. Penny Senseless choking people. I want to use a normal term to pressure the UNC to give back the property tax. But what's the genesis of the property tax? KCI, the former prime minister, said it was a done deal when he was before the 2015 election, and as soon as he win, he put things in motion for us to pay property tax. And what they did, when they get a pushback, it was 3%. They say 2%. Then within the legislation, the legislation is such that if the small man is still in office, he can always it for 4 5%. Added to that, under duress, we were forced to pay property tax because they say they're going to sell the property if we don't pay it. So I am calling on the PNM after 160 something recusal. All you make money on the taxpayers' head. Tight pants, 53 million in rental. Why don't you all give us our property tax money for those who have paid? You had us under duress to pay it. You had the poya around our come home just before the election. She went to Tobago and she told them, come home, come home. They came home and they ran out of the house. 0-15-0. I go now. Have a nice night.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you, my friend. You see why, of course, I cannot ignore the callers. Of course, as I said, I want to take half an hour. It's a podcast and not a normal program. I want to do that for the rest of the week because I am saturated with, of course, a lot of things that I have to do as the year commenced, and there are certain essentials that I must put in place, the benefits of which I expect will be rolled out as the year unfolds. But you need to put it now. So that's my, of course, request and my shift to a more podcast, something like what Alan Roberts does. He doesn't entertain any calls, but he will make a statement in essence, and that is what I commenced with. But of course, callers call in, and you have to, of course, respond appropriately. See, Mr. Faizabad is attempting to make a call as well. As soon as, if he does get in, then I don't want, of course, to frustrate anybody for making their inputs, but as I said, I have a lot of work to do, so I'll just come in for half an hour, just to keep things on the front burner and to keep things scintillatingly enticing. And this podcast, of course, is to analyze briefly the repercussions for the PNM. And clearly, as the caller rightly argued and supported what I said in the initial stage, whether you heard me or not, because I understand there might have been a audio issue, but the fact is that is the death knell, that is the final straw, that is the nail in the coffin. Let's go straight to Mr. Faizabad, and then, of course, I will make my departure thereafter. A pleasant good night to Mr. Faizabad.
A pleasant good night to you, Uncle Lennox, and all your listeners.
Yes,
so, the corridor transformation, what days it will be on?
We'll start back next week, but I'm doing some podcasts every night. If you get a chance to call in, I'll take your call, but I'm really going to make some comments and then leave. All right? That's
okay.
Right? And then we'll take the full hour and a half from Monday. Because I really have a lot of work to do. Taking a lot of time, and sometimes I become exhausted. I have to take a rest and then get back up 2 o'clock to go to the studio at TTT in order to execute the ground report. It's no longer on George Street, in studio, where the convenience of time and all of that, and I could take a little longer nap, as the case may be. No, I have to be at TTT before dawn. Yeah, before the break of day. So you will appreciate how hectic my time has become, and therefore I decided, out of fairness and to make certain that we are still in your presence and vice versa, that we do something every night as usual from around 8 o'clock, where I will just do a podcast where it will be more a monologue in order to, of course, make certain that we keep abreast and to keep you abreast of new things that will be coming up, including, of course, our classroom, or should I say our academic or our educational thrust that we promised last year. And of course, as I said, one important part of it is that the lecturer can move around with a mobile microphone, so you don't have any inhibitants to movement, and therefore what I consider to be some of those people who study the anatomy of human beings, they say that we engage in what is called bipedal gait, meaning that we walk on two legs, all right? And of course, we walk on two legs, gait meaning walk. So that is where we are. So let me just conclude once again that the PNM's shot has been called. They have gone out in what I consider to be explosive fashion to the dustbin of political history in Tobago. Like a shooting star, they have lost all of their glitter and brightness. And tomorrow night, of course, I will talk about some of the elements that would have caused that to happen. Not that you don't know, but it needs to be reinforced and regurgitated for making certain that it is inculcated and indelibly implanted in our consciousness and therefore our memory, deep and superficial memory. It must be done. Why? Because next year is a local government election in Trinidad. And the hogwash and the diatribe and the deception that was meted out to the Tobago electorate, and if they weren't discerning, they would have been caught wanting. But we said with confidence on this program, 15 none. And if there were 17 seats, none for them either. Well, in Trinidad, we must do the same. And the only impediment to that is the presence of the PNM in communities such as Laventil, Beetham, Sealets, etc., and along the East-West corridor from Diego Martin in the west. And we must understand finally that we are going to be fed, or we will get our piece of the pie last, and not, and maybe consistent or parallel with those individuals who went, of course, to the wedding in biblical terms. And there were those who went with extra oil for their lamps. And there were those who did not. And by the time they would have run out, that is those who did not walk with an extra keg or two of the oil to light their lamp or to keep their lamps burning. By the time they went and find, in the modern context, you could say to find a gas station. By the time they come back, the wedding was over, and they could not have partake in any aspect of it. Late. Well, it's the same damn way if the East-West corridor, Diego Martin, Beetham, Sealets, East Port of Spain, and so on, continue with that madness of self-destruction, of not acting in our best interests, and get in line like Tobago, as is the experience today, where you are groveling and you are grumbling and you are upset and you are in a state of discombobulation, confusion. Because they took away URP, took away CPEP, etc. And while, of course, I understand the rationale as you have in terms of the criminal elements, certainly if we had won, if Love had won its seats in Laverton East, Laverton West, Port of Spain South, or the seats that we would have influenced under the UNC or COP or PEP, we would have been, of course, in a position to make what? Decisions. I had no right to be begging here and begging there to deliver 100 hampers for Christmas and into the New Year. No. I should have been bold. I should have been authoritative. I should have been demanding. And those who would have been affected because they were neither part of that target group that would have polluted or corrupted URP, CPEP, etc., whether it be gangsters and so on, if you are not part of that, but you genuinely want to put food on the table and you want to mind your children and, of course, cater for your family, I could assure you that if any of the candidates were elected to the parliament, the situation would have been different, because I would have been in a position to say, no, we have to be eclectic. There are those who have not been so perverted, or should I say corrupted, or averse. No. But I couldn't and I can't, because we did not win. I cannot talk to them. They could talk to me as they wish, but I cannot talk to them with authority, because we lost. And because of you and your myopic political disposition, you should get rid of the garbage called the PNM. Get rid of the garbage called the PNM and hitch your wagon to prosperity, optimism, and a better day for these communities. Let's take this final call, and then, of course, I will make my departure. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor on this podcast.
Lennox.
Yes.
Lydia.
Hey.
How you going?
I did, Papa. All the best to you for 2026.
Yeah, man. These guys get real licks, boy.
Yeah. Well, of course, I said I told you it was 15. When I said it was 39 in Trinidad, you had your doubts, all right? That doubt materialized, but certainly not at all on this occasion in Tobago.
No, the guy real licked.
The PNM was devastated in Tobago, yes.
Yeah, it backfired them.
Yeah, you can't come and talk. Tomorrow night I'll briefly talk about it. Of course, I can't talk about radar and the what's the name of that warship that came here and it will start a World War III.
The Gerard Ford.
No, there's another one that came actually in port. Yeah, the Gravely.
Right.
That battleship. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, but that election was something else.
Yeah. I mean, it is profound. It sends a clear and unambiguous message to the country, the electorate, as well as the PNM, that they have finally found their resting place.
Yeah, and so basically that's it. So
we will see. I know we have to talk, but boy, I'm swamped with work, so I have to cut off now. I'm swamped with work, preparing, of course, for the rest of the year. Quite a lot of things going to be happening. And I expect that by the time the local government comes around in Trinidad, that of course the people are sufficiently, should I say, saturated with the confidence that when they do the right thing, they will be sitting comfortably with people like yourself and me and others
Yeah.
at the dinner table, so to speak, making decisions in their best interests.
All right. So before you go, what
Yeah.
is going on with you? You organizing something?
Yeah, but I will speak to you privately.
Well, I know we had to talk privately, because all right.
Yeah. Okay then.
All right.
Have a good one. You and your
All
family.
right. You too. All right. So
So
here
you're
you
home.
tomorrow.
You're home, you say, right?
I-
You're home?
Yeah, I back in Trinidad.
All right, good. I may come up by you before the week finishes.
All right. No problem. Yeah, man.
Yeah.